You've probably heard that scary statistic that most new businesses fail. The reality is that about 20% of them don't make it past the first year, nearly half are gone within 5 years. But the real reason why they fail isn't just about the numbers that you typically see on their spreadsheets. Sure, the official causes are things like lack of funding or sometimes a flawed business model, but what's the real story behind those failures? What's leading these smart business owners to run out of cash or stick with a marketing plan that's just terrible? I believe it comes down to one thing. They're actually running out of energy and getting burnt out. So we're all taught to hustle. We're taught to grind. We're taught to chase every single lead because you never know which one of them are going to be the one. But that advice is the fastest way to build a business that you hate, and it's essentially the express lane to burnout. What if the secret to building a small business that actually lasts had nothing to do with working harder? What if it had to do with being smarter and even a little bit more selective of who you work with? What if there was a simple framework that could help you build a business that not only pays the bills and puts food on the table, but you actually love running? So good news, that framework does exist, and I call it the 4E framework. And I'm going to show you how this simple system is the critical difference between a business that thrives and one that is going to die a slow and painful death. So I know how important this is because I've been on the wrong side of it in my entrepreneurial career. I spent years building a business, chasing the wrong clients in the wrong markets. And yeah, at times I was making a little bit of money, but I was absolutely miserable. I was burnt out, I was frustrated, and I was seriously close to just throwing in the towel. The very business that was supposed to bring me freedom quickly became my prison. It wasn't until I hit that pause button and took a step back, I was able to really analyze what was draining my soul every day. And I started to see this pattern emerge, these 4 pillars. Now, getting them right changed everything for me, and I know it can do the same for you as well. So if you're serious about building a business that sustains you for the long haul, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. This is the kind of practical, no fluff advice that you'll get from me each week to help you build the business of your dreams. All right, let's jump into the first and most obvious E in this framework, earn. I know this sounds dead simple, right? A business has to make money, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. The earn pillar isn't just about getting paid, it's about finding a market that has both the ability and the enthusiasm to pay you what you are worth without constantly fighting you on your price tag. Way too many entrepreneurs, they walk into one of 2 traps. The first is targeting a market that just doesn't have the money. It's like trying to sell luxury yachts to a broke college kid. You can have the best yacht in the world, but if their budget is completely maxed out on instant noodles, you have a fundamental problem there. Your market must have the cash to afford your solution. The second, and maybe even the worst trap, is targeting a market that could pay you, but simply won't. These are the chronic bargain hunters, the can I get a discount crowd. They will nickel and dime you to death every time and question every move. They will ultimately suck the joy and profit out of your work. A business built around people who don't value what you do is a house of cards that will eventually collapse. So how do you avoid this? You first have to do your homework, stop guessing, start looking for proof. Who are you trying to serve? Can they actually afford the price that you need to charge to be profitable and live the life that you want? So you're looking for a group that sees your offer not as a cost, but as a crucial investment. So the goal isn't to be the cheapest, it's to be the most valuable. If your market can't or won't pay you, you have a hobby, not a business. And long term, that hobby won't survive. This next E is the one that gets ignored the most, and it's one that will quietly poison your motivation. You have to enjoy serving your customers. So let me say that again. You have to genuinely like the people that you work for. So this might initially sound like a fluffy, feel-good idea, but it's actually a cold, hard business principle. Think about it. Who are you spending all day talking to? Who are you emailing with, jumping on phone calls with? Who are you solving problems for? If your stomach drops every time a certain client's name pops in your inbox, you have an enjoyment problem. That's feeling. That's the sound of your energy being drained away. And as we said at the start, when your energy dies, you get burnt out and ultimately your business dies. So founder burnout, it's a real threat that leads to poor decisions and bad performance. So in one of my past businesses, I had a group of clients in a niche that paid incredibly well. On paper, it was a dream. The earn pillar was solid gold. It was way up here. But the people were cynical, they were demanding, and every conversation felt like I was just gearing up for a fight. I started to dread my work each day. I found that putting myself out there in these profitable projects, I couldn't stand the thought of talking to my clients any longer. My passion evaporated and my results really started to take a dip. It was a classic case of ignoring the enjoyment factor. When you picture your ideal customer, you need to go beyond demographics like age and income. Those are great, but they're not everything. Think about their personality. Are they someone that's optimistic or are they pessimistic? Are they appreciative or are they entitled? Do they take responsibility or do they blame others? Something that a lot of people don't think of, do they get your sense of humor? As an entrepreneur, you're not just creating a revenue stream. One of the big advantages here is that you get to design your professional life. You get to choose who you share that life with each and every day. So if you build a business who are serving people that you can't stand, you haven't built yourself a business, you've built yourself a very well-paying prison. So find a target market that you actually love to serve. The energy it's going to give you, that is priceless. The third E is all about having some foresight. It's about looking past this month's revenue and asking, does this business have a future? The market you serve must be expanding. You need to be fishing in a pond that is getting bigger and bigger and bigger each day, not one that is slowly drying up. You could be the best in the world at making your specific thing. But if the demand for that thing is shrinking year after year, you're constantly fighting an uphill battle. You're fighting for a smaller and smaller piece of a shrinking pie. No matter how hard you work, your growth will eventually hit a wall. And a stagnant or dying market means your business will struggle to scale or adapt to the ever-changing market. Think about it like this. Building a business in a dying market is like trying to paddle a canoe up a waterfall. You can put in all this massive effort, but the current is always pushing back on you. Now, building a business in an expanding market, that's like catching a wave. The market's own momentum is going to really help carry you forward. So how can you tell if a market is growing? Well, you have to first become a student of the trends. Use all these free tools out there like ChatGPT or Google Trends. Type in the keywords for your niche. Is the interest line, is it going up over the next 5 years or is it trending down? Read some industry reports as well. Is the new technology that's coming out right now, is it creating some fresh problems for you to solve in this space? You need to find a niche where your demand is growing, not fading. So don't just think about where the money is right now. Think about where the attention, where the demand is going to be in the next 3 years, 5 years, or even 10 years. Choosing an expanding market is like choosing to build your house on solid ground instead of sinking sand. This last E ties everything together and it makes it personal. The market you serve must be easy for you specifically to access. Now, let me be crystal clear. Easy does not mean no work. Building a business is hard, period. In this framework, easy means aligned. It means that reaching and serving your customers should play to your natural strengths, your existing skills, and the network of people you have around you. If connecting with your market feels like you're trying to write with your non-dominant hand, you're violating that easy principle. For example, let's say your target market is Gen Z and the only place they're hanging out is on TikTok, but you're an introvert who hates being on camera and has zero interest in learning the latest trends. For you, that market is not easy to reach. It will be a constant soul-sucking struggle. On the other hand, if you're a great writer who loves crafting thoughtful emails, a market of professionals who subscribe to an industry newsletter is an easy market for you to serve. You're leaning into your strengths, not fighting them. So this requires a little bit of self-reflection. What is your unfair advantage? What skills do you have that others don't? What's your professional background? Who do you already know? The simplest path to your first clients is almost always through a channel you already understand and a skill you already possess. Trying to fake a personality to chase a market that is just that next shiny object normally is a recipe for failure. Find the intersection of what the market wants and what you are uniquely built to give them. When serving your customers feels like a natural extension of who you are, you have found that fourth E. So there you have it, the 4E framework: earn, enjoy, expanding, and easy. Think of these not as a checklist, but as 4 legs to a table. If you have a market that you enjoy that's expanding but can't earn you a living, that table is going to tip over. If you have a market that you can earn a fortune from, but you don't enjoy the work and it's not easy for you to reach them, the table falls. You need all 4 for a really stable, lasting business. This framework, it's about shifting from being a desperate opportunist to a thoughtful strategist. It moves you from asking, how can I make a quick buck today, to how can I build a sustainable system that pays me well, energizes me, has a future, and lines up perfectly with my strengths. So if you want to build a business that you really love, you need to stop chasing customers who bleed you dry and burn you out each day. Stop building a business that feels like a cage. The whole point of entrepreneurship is freedom, and that includes the freedom to choose who you serve. Use the 4 E's and find a market that you can earn from, that you enjoy serving, that is expanding, and that is easy for you to reach. That's the foundation of a business that you can love for a lifetime. And now you know how to pick that right target market. The next step is getting your mind right. So when you fall on your face, you know how to deal with it like a pro. And you will definitely fall on your face a time or two while building your business. If you want to see how I turned my failures into fuel, make sure you watch this next video right here. Thanks for watching, and go build the business of your dreams.